Superfood Evolution presents Nut and Seed Cheeses, a raw vegan cultured cheese. Seed cheese is a cultured raw vegan cheese created using a process similar to traditional cheese making, involving the same method employed to separate the curds from the whey. In this case, the curds are a non-dairy plant-based variety that is aged for a period of time to develop certain flavors and textures. The initial form of seed cheese was introduced in the 1960s by living food enthusiast Dr. Ann Wigmore, the original founder of the Hippocrates Health Institute. Using mostly sunflower seed and sometimes pumpkin seed, the cheese was created by blending soaked seeds with water and Rejuvelac, then fermenting it for a short period of time and straining out the liquid. The concept of making cheese from nuts and seeds is a fairly recent development. In the last 10 years, along with the popularity of the raw vegan diet, there have been some improvements made from the original sunflower seed recipe. Many vegan chefs are now making other variations of cultured, dairyless cheese made with other seeds like hemp seeds, as well as other nut selections like almonds, cashews, and macadamia nut. Originally, the cheese was made by fermenting it for short periods of time, between 4 to 12 hours. Today, however, many people are exploring the taste and texture-enhancing benefits of culturing it for longer periods of time, from 2 days to even several weeks in some cases. Basically, the longer you ferment the cheese, the firmer and richer in flavor it becomes, similar to aged dairy cheeses. In addition, different nut and seed combinations can also produce unique and savory flavors comparable to cheddar, feta, or Gouda. One of the leading authorities in the nut and seed cheese-making world is raw food chef and recipe book author Matthew Kenney, founder of the famed New York raw organic restaurant Pure Food and Wine. He has over the years experimented extensively with making gourmet vegan cheeses and was quoted in a published LA Weekly article stating that most cheeses he serves are actually cultured between 3 to 4 weeks. For those new to making homemade seed cheese, the easiest variety to make is the original recipe created by Dr. Ann Wigmore. This makes a soft, ricotta-style cheese consistency that you can spread onto dehydrated crackers or use as a topping for raw energy soups, the way Dr. Ann often consumed it. This type of cheese is made with only 3 ingredients: water, sunflower seeds, and Rejuvelac. Today, however, many people use probiotic powders instead of Rejuvelac because they are more convenient to have on hand. Culturing raw vegan cheese. When making homemade seed nut cheeses, the fermentation process includes the use of a high-quality probiotic powder or culture starter. These powders contain lactobacillus and bifidobacterium strains like L. acidophilus and B. lactis, as well as many others. The probiotics usually come in capsule form, which can be opened up into the cheese blend. It usually takes 2 capsules, about 1/4 teaspoon per 2 cups of dry seeds or nuts. We have found the lactobacteria most suited to nut and seed cheese making is the Lactobacillus acidophilus species, which is also the primary strain used by raw gourmet chefs and quality commercial brands like Dr. Cow tree nut cheeses. Nut and seed cheeses are not made with seed or nut milk, unlike dairy-based cheese, because they have a better flavor and texture when created with the whole seed or nut, which is soaked overnight, drained, then blended with fresh water and culture starter. This mixture is then pressed and strained over a period of time to reduce the whey content and intensify the sharpness of the cheese. Can seed cheeses go bad? The probiotic lactic acid bacteria in the ferment helps to protect the cheese from contamination or decomposition. But just like dairy cheese, it can grow other forms of mold over time if not properly stored or fermented at inappropriate temperatures exceeding 75 degrees. Seed cheese should have a slightly soured, fermented scent that smells like aged cheese. It should be discarded if it has an extremely strong, off-putting odor. Making sliceable seed cheeses. The main factor that controls the hardness of the cheese is the moisture content. To make aged raw vegan cheeses with a firmer texture, you would need to apply pressure to the fermenting seed or nut blend and age it over a period of time. This is the same process used to make dairy cheese, which is normally accomplished by packing the curds into a mold and applying a weight on top of a follower, a flat, heavy object that pushes the curds down evenly to release the whey liquid through tiny holes in the mold form. Although we have tried using traditional cheese-making equipment to make seed cheese, we have not currently experienced much success because the mixture tends to fall through the holes as it is not as rubbery as dairy-based ingredients. The easiest way to make soft ricotta-style seed cheese is in a glass mason jar with a mesh lid fermented between 6 to 12 hours. The best method for making aged cheese seems to be the reliable multi-purpose nut milk bag. These are fine mesh bags usually made from nylon or hemp fabric that filter out the liquid content in foods and leave behind the thick pulp material. They are used to make nut milks like almond milk, but also work really well for seed cheeses. Cheesecloth is also another option, of course, but you will need to layer it a few times to avoid curd leakage through the larger size holes. To make sliceable cheese, you simply pour the blended mix that includes the probiotic starter into the mesh bag. You then tightly secure the opening by spinning it several times, leaving a ball of cheese that you will put into a strainer with a heavy weight on top of it. This is how traditional cheese is made, usually with some kind of cheese press that helps to squeeze out the moisture content. The strainer, of course, will need to be elevated slightly with a container underneath to collect the liquid whey, which can be discarded or used in other recipes. You can either let it ferment for a short or long amount of time. Usually 48 hours is good to yield a nice firm cheese that you can form into a mold. Forming the cheese. Seed and nut cheeses can be set in molds after fermentation time and refrigerated to create different shapes, logs, or cheese wheels that can be later sliced. We have found that ring molds are best for achieving smooth, rounded edges, but you can also use various bowls or containers that are either shallow, deep, round, square, or oblong. Some raw gourmet chefs additionally put the molded cheese into a dehydrator for up to 24 hours to produce a thick rind on the outside of the cheese. You can likewise cover your molded creations in various spices like pepper or paprika or different chopped nuts and seeds. Adding other ingredients. There are other types of vegan seed and nut cheeses that are not fermented, but use different ingredients to thicken it and give it a cheesy flavor. These other added components may include nutritional yeast, vinegar, lemon juice, Irish moss, agar, or tapioca starch. Although these types of raw vegan cheeses can still be quite tasty, they don't offer the same health benefits and digestibility of cultured varieties. Many of these additional ingredients, however, can be added to the fermented cheese to add flavor and alter consistency. One that we often add during the culturing process is Irish moss gel. This gives it a very smooth, thick, cream cheese-like texture. After the final culturing is achieved, we also like to add other seasonings to enhance the flavor, such as sea salt, fresh scallions, or onion powder, as well as different spices, which may include dill, Italian herbs, pepper, garlic granules, and turmeric. Health benefits of raw vegan cheese. Seed and nut cheeses are a wonderful, non-dairy, cholesterol-free alternative made with simple whole food ingredients, isn't overly processed or exposed to heat, and doesn't contain refined oils or fats, preservatives, starches, or stabilizers often found in commercial non-dairy cheeses. Many of the vegan cheese products on the market are typically made with processed rice, soybeans, or almonds, and often contain a long list of these aforementioned refined ingredients. The culturing technique not only creates a delicious cheese-like flavor, but also produces enzymes and beneficial microflora that essentially help to predigest the seeds and nuts, which are generally harder to assimilate. Fermenting foods like nuts, seeds, and beans are a great way to consume them, as their nutrients and proteins are further broken down into easily digested amino acids and other energizing compounds. Fermentation also eliminates toxins like phytates, which may be present, which often block the absorption of various minerals. Unlike dairy, which tends to create a lot of mucus buildup and sinus conditions, raw vegan cheeses can tend to do quite the opposite, providing more of a laxative-like effect that helps to promote regular bowel movements and keeps the colon free of undigested waste material. It is always good to use high-quality, organic, non-GMO raw seeds and nuts. This means that if you tried to sprout a sunflower seed, for example, it would actually grow another sunflower plant. Most all seeds will sprout when giving them the water necessary to do so, but other more fattier nuts like cashews or macadamia are more easily germinated when inside their shell. Some people also sprout their seeds before making seed cheese, but this step is not required. How to use. Seed cheese is ideal for cheese and cracker snacks or on top of raw soups or salads. Depending on the texture, it can be crumbled or even dehydrated or melted on nut burgers, enjoyed on raw pizzas, or used in other recipes. To learn more on how to make seed cheese, visit our seed cheese recipes page. Precautions. It is of course important to avoid seed or nut cheeses if you have severe allergic reactions to different varieties of nuts or seeds. It is also important to consider avoiding food ferments if you have severe allergies to molds. Thanks for watching, and for more fermented foods, visit our website at superfoodsforsuperhealth.com. Please support us with a thumbs up if you found this video useful. And be sure and check out these other related videos.